happy for October hurricanes along the Gulf Coast. That generally is the case. In fact, over the past 25 years, we've had only 2 hurricanes which have made landfall, Jerry in 1989 and Juan back in 1985. And you talk about the unpredictability of hurricanes. Look at the loop. Look at the path John took. Went off to the west, came up towards the parishes of Louisiana, did a loop-de-loop twice, and then hooked a dogleg left over towards Pensacola and Mobile. Jerry, easily forecasted, I would assume so, since it followed basically a straight line. Now, looking back over the past 50 years, we've had, is that 6 hurricanes, 5 hurricanes rather, making landfall over the past 50 years. So about once every 10 years, we have a hurricane making landfall on the Gulf Coast. So it's certainly not a common occurrence, and you can see all but one did not really impact the Florida Peninsula. Let's give you the latest now on Hurricane Opal from the National Hurricane Center in Miami. We're expecting the new advisory in from our friends there in Miami in about the next 5 to 10 minutes, just before 2 a.m. Eastern. We'll go with this, winds of 80 miles an hour. The sustained winds are easing up now. They were earlier today clocked at 75, now 80 miles an hour. It's moving north at 8, and that's been the big change since late this afternoon. From late this afternoon through this evening, we've seen that turn now to the north. We had been expecting that for a couple of days based on the forecasted steering winds and our trough in front moving into the central part of the U.S., and that is what is occurring. The pressure slowly falling off. Another sign that Opal is at least trying to intensify very slowly. The pressure now 970 millibars. The storm, the hurricane, is about 500 miles south-southwest of the mouth of the Mississippi River, so it's a long way off. But as that trough in front approach, we do think that Opal will start accelerating off to the northeast in about 2 to 3 days, or maybe in just about another day or so. Progreso to Veracruz, tropical storm warnings continue. There are no watches out, any kind of watches as far as hurricane or tropical storm watches for the Gulf Coast, but we do expect that the Hurricane Center will put up some watches at 5 a.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday morning. That is when the next advisory comes out, not discounting this intermediate advisory we're expecting in the next few minutes. However, with Opal lurking to the south and churning up the water, it is pushing the water up against the Texas Gulf Coast and those parishes of Louisiana which face off to the east, and that's why the coastal flood watches and coastal flood warnings continue. We've had tides running 4 to 5 feet above normal, especially over the lower Texas Gulf Coast. Some of the islands like Boca Chica and Brazos Island at the state park, some of those areas have been unreachable at times of high tide because the water has been up over the roadways. And I believe Dave Schwartz will show you some of those pictures coming up just after the top of the hour. So keep that in mind. Watch out for beach erosion, rip tides, dangerous surf conditions. And those conditions will start going downhill, too, along the Florida Panhandle, because we think, based on current forecasts, that it's going to move north and then off towards the northeast in that direction. That's not etched in stone. We have no idea exactly where it's going to make landfall, but it seems unlikely right now it would make landfall anytime before Tuesday night or Wednesday night or early Thursday morning. Here's our infrared picture. Remember, the colder cloud tops on the infrared are indicated by the brighter colors. In this case, the darker red, and that's basically over where, just about over where the center of Hurricane Opal is, maybe a little bit to the north. But notice the movement now to the north. Here's Texas along the Gulf Coast of Florida. Already high clouds. The breezes are picking up. Some of the showers have been thrown off as far east now as Key West. We've had a couple of showers and some wind gusts to 25 miles an hour at Key West. Water temperatures, very favorable for further development for Hurricane Opal, running in the mid-80s. And this is unfortunate because we do think that Hurricane Opal will maintain its intensity, slowly increase, and probably become a Category 2 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale before it makes landfall. Here's our moisture channel, the vapor loop. Darker areas, drier air, wetter areas, more moisture, water vapor in the atmosphere. That's where we have the brighter whites. And you can see right at the eye of the hurricane, we've got that little dark speck, indicating a lack of real precipitation. Here comes our weather front and our dip in the jet stream cruising across the plains. As that moves in, that will attract Opal off to the north and then the northeast. That's the thinking now. Stay with the Weather Channel. We'll have the latest for you. And again, the intermediate advisory, not in yet. We expect it, though, in a few minutes. Rest of the Caribbean and the Atlantic, very quiet. Null, a tropical storm moving north and weakening. So the only game in town is Opal, and we'll keep you abreast of this.